Hi everybody, this is Shawna Odette from the Flying Cat Academy. Welcome to lesson number 93. This is a review lesson. Let's begin by setting up the table. You'll need your top 160 sight word list, and if you finish that list, you can move on to the top 290 word list, which you can find at the flyingcatacademy.com website. Look under the guided lessons section, and there'll be two subpages. One is called Extra Resources, and that's what you want. You'll need the teacher instruction sheet, the student's sight word card pack, some blank index cards, highlighter markers, and some pencils. For the phonemic awareness drill, you'll need the teacher instruction sheet and the colored tiles for the student. For the visual drill and auditory drill, you'll need the teacher instruction sheets and the student's card pack. For the blending drill, you'll use the paper grapheme cards, and you'll have to have them set up on the table, although I will provide it in the video if you don't. You'll have the magnetic letter tile drills for reading and spelling, and for that you'll need the cookie sheet with the letters spread in a rainbow shape. You'll have the syllable pounding instruction sheet, the new phoneme grapheme kinesthetic discovery sheet, and the sheets for the lesson. In addition, we'll use the same cards that we used in a previous lesson for a drill here. And that'll be to review AU, AW, OI, and OY. And you might have a timer on the table, and you'll need this if you've introduced the fluency element to the lesson, which you'll need to use a secondary program for this one. We'll begin with the sight word study method. Student, could you take out your sight word card pack? I would like you to read through each word. When you read a word correctly, in the corner of the card you'll put a check mark. When you're finished reading all of the cards, you'll give the card pack to your teacher, and then it's your teacher's turn to read. The teacher will read each word, and student, you will write them down. When a word is written correctly, then in the other corner of the card, you'll put a check mark. And teacher, you're ready with blocking strategies in case the student encounters difficulties. When the task is finished, have a quick discussion about which of these words has been mastered. Mastered words will be removed from the card pack. This leaves space so that you can introduce a new sight word. Now let's do the phonemic awareness drill. Student, you'll need your colored tiles for this one. Your word is took. Can you repeat that word? I might say, I took a cookie from the jar. Now I'd like you to build the word took with your colored tiles, and then tap it and say it. Do you have 3 tiles of all different colors down? If you do, that's right. T-k, took. Find the t in took. Change the t into a ul. What's your new word? Tap it and say it. Did you say look? I will look out the window. If you did, that's right. Now find the ul in look. Change the ul into a b. What's your new word? Tap it and say it. Did you say book? If you did, that's right. Okay, now change the in book into an oo, and you'll get a nonsense word. Tap it and say it. Did you get book? If you did, that's right. Now take away the k, delete it. And what are you left with? Tap it and say it. Did you say boo? If you did, that's right. Add a to the end of boo. And what do you get? Tap it and say it. Did you say boom? I heard a loud boom in the distance. If you did, that's right. Okay, great job. You can put your tiles away. Now it's time for the visual drill. Student, what are the 2 sounds of O-O? Did you say ooh as in boo, said the ghost, and as in cook, book? If you did, that's right. Teacher, do about 6 to 8 flashcards in this way. Now let's do the auditory drill. Student, your sound is oi. Can you repeat that sound? Now, what are the graphemes? What are the symbols that you know that make oi? Write them down now and say the sound as you're doing that. and then underline them and say the sound again. And then we'll check your work. Did you say that OY can make oi? It does at the end of a word, like boy or toy. And OI can also do that. Okay, teacher, do about 6 to 8 flashcards in this way. It's time for the blending drill. This is where we have the grapheme cards, little paper cards on the table with the letters on them, and we're going to tap it and say the whole word, and then the teacher changes the word by one card and a new word appears, and on we go. Teacher, if you have this one set up on the table, then just press pause on the video now and do it. Otherwise, you can continue playing the video and I'll show it here. Let's do some syllable pounding. Student, your word is re-looking. Can you say that word? So if I'm looking at someone, I'm gazing at them. And if I'm re-looking, I'm looking again at them, because re means again. How many syllables are in the word re-looking? You could put your hand under your chin and say the word, and your chin will fall and hit your hand for each syllable. Or you could stretch out your arm and tap your arm and say the word, and as you hear the different syllables, you'll just stretch out your fingers. So re-looking, how many? Re-looking. I hear 3 in that one. Okay, how about this one? Disbanded. Can you repeat that word? So if something comes together, they band together. And if something comes apart, they might disband. So if it happened in the past, they disbanded. How many syllables in disbanded? I hear 3 in that one. Okay, how about this? Rue. Can you repeat that? Okay, how many syllables? I hear 1. I hear the oo, a vowel diphthong. Okay, last one. Roommate. Can you repeat that word? When people live together, they are called roommates. I hear 2 in that one. Okay, now it's time to do your Scooping Syllables worksheet. Teacher, you can take out the answer key. And student, remember to talk through your thinking as you're working through this sheet. Now it's time to do the worksheets. There are 2 of them, and we're working on adding different suffixes to different types of bases from different syllable types. Teacher, you've got an eye on the time, so you'll know how many words it'll be possible to complete for this activity. And student, as you're doing this, I would like you to be talking about the great rules of spelling that are coming into play as you work through these different word sums. Now let's review the sounds that go with AU, AW, OI, and OY. And we'll do this by doing a drill that we did in lesson 92. We've got some headings on the table, and the teacher's going to read a word. And student, you'll think, what is the sound? What's the vowel diphthong in that word? Is it AU, AW, OI, or OY? And then you'll tell your teacher, and then your teacher will reveal the card, and you guys can put it under the right heading. And then you'll go on to the next word. And you're going to discuss your thinking as you're doing this. How do you know which one it is? And you'll discuss, when you have oi with an OY, that's going to be at the end of a word. When you have aw, when you hear that at the end of a word, it'll be the AW. So remember to discuss your thinking, because that's an important step. We've been talking about OO as our new vowel diphthong. And we know that OO can make 2 different sounds. Student, can you tell your teacher the 2 sounds of OO? Did you say oo as in boo, and as in book. We're going to do a review today to practice the little clues that can tell us whether it's an oo sound or an sound that's being used in a word. If we just have this, B-O-O, we're going to know it's oo. If O-O is followed by a K, then we'll have the sound. So, student, what is this word? Tap it and say it. Did you say boo, as in boo, said the ghost? If you did, that's right. And if I put a K at the end, now we have that situation where the O-O is followed by a K. So now the O-O will say Can you say that sound? And now read the word with as the O-O sound. Did you say that word is book? Okay, let's practice this idea of oo, and once the K comes in, now it's And we're going to do that. Could you take out your magnetic letter tile board? And I'd like you to put down OO on your board. So your board will look like mine. And let's put TOO on the board. Do you have that one? Okay, and now read your board. What's that word? Did you say it was to, as in I want to go to? Okay, now I'd like you to take a K and put it on the end of to. Now what's the sound of the OO? Tap and say the word. Did you say took? If you did, that's right. So that combination of OOK is going to make the of the O. Okay, let's try it again. So you've got your OO there. Let's take away the K for a moment and we'll put an L down. So can you make yours look like that? And then tap it and say it on your board. Did you say loo? If you did, that's right. And now let's change the sound of the OO by adding the K. So do that on your board. Now the word is, tap it and say it. Did you say look? If you did, that's right. Okay, let's try it. Have your OO all by itself and put a C in front of it. And tap and say the word. This will be coo, as in cuckoo, said the bird. We've got our oo sound. Now we want to change the sound into So let's put the K on the end. What's the new word? Did you say that word is cook? If you did, that's right. Okay, now get back to your just two O's. And I'm going to ask you to put a W in front of the two O's. And tap it and say it. Did you say that word is woo? He will woo his girlfriend. If you did, that's right. There's another letter that can force the OO to say in addition to the K. And that is D. And it's not an absolute rule. There are some words that don't do this, but it often is the case. So if I put a D behind the OO, say it with and tap and say this word. That word is wood. I picked up the wood from the ground and started a campfire. Okay. And let's just keep the... Actually, let's do this. Have the OO all by itself again. And we'll put an H in front of the OO. So what's that word going to be? That'll be who, as in hoo-hoo, said the owl. And then I'm going to put a D behind it. What's the new word? That word is hood. What if I had a K behind it? Let's try that. Put a K on your board and tap and say that word. A K or a D are the ones that often make the oo turn into a So that word is hook. And if you take away the K, what's the word now? Who. Okay, great job. Do the magnetic letter tile drill for reading. You've got your magnetic board right there with your letters spread in a rainbow shape all ready to go. So we'll use it now. Your sound is S. Can you repeat that sound? Now find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. Can you say T? Find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. Can you say Now find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. Or tiles. And can you say D? Now find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. Now tap and say the word. Did you say this word was stood? I could say he stood up from his chair. And did you spell it S-T-O-O-D? If you did, that's right. This is one of those cases where the O-O is making the sound because it's followed by a D or a K, and in this case it's a D. Okay, great work. Put those tiles away and get ready for your new word. Your sound is G. Can you repeat that sound? Now find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. Your sound is oo. Can you repeat that sound? Find the correct tile or tiles and pull them to the middle. Now tap it and say it. Did you say this word is goo? There was some goo on the ground and I stepped in it, yuck. And did you spell it G-O-O? If you did, that's right. Now take a tile D and put it at the end of G-O-O. What's the word now? How would you read that? Did you say this word is good? If you did, that's right. This is a case where that oo sound was changed into the sound because it was ending in a D or a K, in this case a D. Okay, teacher, if there's time, you can do another word in this way. If not, then move on to the single word list, then the short story, and then the fluency element. Let's do the magnetic letter tile drill for spelling. Student, you'll need your cookie sheet with your letters spread in a rainbow shape for this one. Your word is boy. Can you repeat that word? I could say he was a boy, she was a girl. Okay, what's the first sound that you hear in boy? Find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. And what's the next sound that you hear in boy? Find the correct tile or tiles and pull them to the middle. Okay, tap it and say it. Did you spell this one B-O-Y? If you did, that's right. When you hear oi at the end of a word, we use O-Y. Okay, put those tiles back and get ready for your next word. Your word is join. Can you repeat that word? I might say, I will join the two Lego pieces together. What's the first sound that you hear in join? Find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. What's the next sound that you hear in join? Find the correct tile or tiles and pull them to the middle. And what's the last sound that you hear in join? Find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. Now tap and say the word. Did you spell this one J-O-I-N? If you did, that's right. When we hear the oi sound in the middle of a word, J-O-I-N, then we're going to spell it with O-I. All right, put those tiles back and let's get ready for a new word. Your word is hood. Can you repeat that? I might say, I pulled up my hood on my jacket. What's the first sound that you hear in hood? Find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. What's the next sound that you hear in hood? Find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. And what's the last sound that you hear in hood? Find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. Now tap it and say it. Did you spell this one H-O-O-D? If you did, that's right. Okay, it's time to write some single words, so grab a lined piece of paper and a pencil. Your word is boo. Can you repeat that word? I might say the crowd gave a boo. Okay, I'd like you to tap out the sounds that you hear in boo. So tap it and say the sound of each part of the word, and then say the whole word and write it down. Then we'll check your work. Did you spell this one B-O-O? If you did, that's right. Now I'd like you to write down book. Can you repeat that? I could say, I read a good book. Tap it and say the sounds as you tap. Say the whole word and write it down. Did you spell this one B-O-O-K? If you did, that's right. Okay, here's your next one. Loo. Can you repeat that word? He went to the loo, which is another word for bathroom. Okay, and tap it, say it, write it down. Did you spell this one L-O-O? If you did, that's right. Now I'd like you to tap look. Say the word and write it down. I gave him a second look. And did you spell this one L-O-O-K? If you did, that's right. All right, how about the word saw? Can you repeat that word? I will saw the branch in two. And did you spell this one S-A-W? If you did, that's right. Okay, it's time for sentences. So teacher, you'll read all 3 sentences, and student, you will write down 2 of them. After you write a sentence, make sure you check your work with CHOPS. We've been talking about vowel diphthongs, so let's do a quick review before you go. Which one of these 2 vowel diphthongs will you use if you were to spell the word draw? Can you repeat that word? Now tell your teacher, would you use A-U or A-W? And tell your teacher why. In the word draw, like I will draw a picture, we would use A-W. A-W is the ah that we use at the end of a word. Okay, and now how about this one? Your word is toy. Can you repeat that word? I like to play with a toy. And I'm wondering, if I was to write that down, would I spell it O-I or O-Y? Is it T-O-I or T-O-Y? Tell your teacher now and explain how you know that. Well, we would spell it T-O-Y because O-Y is the one that we use for the end of words. And then our new one today that we've been reviewing is O-O. What are the 2 sounds that O-O can make? Tell your teacher now. Did you say ooh, as in two? And as in took? If you did, that's right. This is Shawna Odette from the Flying Cat Academy.